Hey, what's up? This is Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz, and this is my weekly video blog called Bullheaded, a review of the Houston Texans news, as well as a preview of the upcoming game matchups. So, this week, the Texans are still going to be at home hosting the Denver Broncos, a Broncos team that has pretty much been hot lately. And besides that, putting a fire, when I say hot, I mean putting a fire to just about every opponent that they can. So, I get into all that of what the Texans can do to actually achieve a win. First, I want to get into just a quick recap of last week's game against the San Francisco 49ers. So once again, the defense. Defense played an amazing game. The main thing that they did was shut down Christian McCaffrey. Only held him to 25 yards rushing. And the ironic part is, I almost forgot about that stat. I almost overlooked that stat until somebody else brought up that CJ Stroud had 30 yards rushing, more than McCaffrey, obviously. So I think it's just a testament to just how consistently great this defense has been all year. Another testament, if you will. In addition to shutting McCaffrey down, defense also generated 2 sacks, one by Derek Barnett and another by Will Anderson. Um, Offense. This is the big one right here. 0 sacks. This this offense, this Texans offense walked away from this game with 0 sacks. They benefited from solid pass protection in this game, and you have to tip your hat off to them. I know they probably get a lot of the headlines, for what they haven't done as far as the offensive line goes. But in this game, like this is they have just a clean pocket the way they did. You have to tip your hat to this offensive line. In addition to the offensive line, I want to know one of the things I noticed was CJ Stroud was, he was moving a little bit better in the pocket, a little bit more decisive in this game, probably the most decisive he's been all season. He's shown it in like recent games where they're having him get the ball out a little bit quicker and things like that. But in this game, he's not holding on to the ball too much. In fact, there was one play. I want to say it was. Um, yeah, I want to say it was one of the plays in the second quarter, um, where he was just where he was like kind of just almost about to get hit, and the pocket was just closing in on him, and at the last minute he just lets it go, and I think he threw that to Jalen Noel on that pass, and it went for a big gain, and either Jalen Noel for a big gain or Jaden Higgins for a touchdown pass, but um, it was just it was just one of those great plays that he was able to do as far as like managing pocket presence and just not holding on to the ball too long, like he did in the Seattle game. There was the one play where they couldn't decide if it was safety or not, but that was him scrambling and just not throwing the ball downfield or not finding a way to get rid of the ball. This wasn't the case against the 49ers. I think he played a phenomenal game against them as far as like just staying clean, and getting rid of the ball, and getting rid of the ball to the right players obviously. And yeah, it was his first 300-yard game of the season. 318 yards, 2 touchdowns, one pick. That was at the end of the first half, which is kind of a letdown for everybody, but it is what it is on that. The one takeaway that I have for this game is that maybe it's a couple. Nah, no, just one. Um, Really, it's just the offensive line. Just being able to have that clean pocket for Stroud to throw the ball and get the ball down the field. It just shows like what can happen if this is executed. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, the San Francisco 49ers, I said it myself, coming into this game, their stats weren't the greatest as far as like generating quarterback pressures, getting sacks, things like that. It just wasn't. They were near the bottom of the league in a lot of those categories. So somebody might say like, oh, they just went up against a weak pass rush and things like that. and that's fair to make that argument. But at the same time, I think you still have to take into account that it's just a matter of execution. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like with this Broncos team we're going to talk about in a few, um, if the Texans offensive line can just learn to execute a little bit better on certain things, you know, then we probably wouldn't have as much of the problems as we've been having as far as pass protection. But I definitely think this is something good uh, that they can actually look at and be like, this is how we got to execute this pass protection. This is how we got to implement yada yada yada, and just take it forward from there. No matter who you lined up against, it's not going to be all perfect, but it can definitely minimize some things going forward. So that's my big takeaway from that game. Congrats to the Texans fan. We needed that. Injuries. Didn't see too many injuries. Injury news, if you will. Dalton Schultz. He was. Well, I'm recording this on Thursday, so I seen that Dalton Schultz had like a couple of DMPs. So it remains to be seen whether or not he's going to actually be playing this weekend. Um, uh, Nico Collins and Christian Kirk, they missed last week's game, but they're both back in practice this week. I think Kirk had a full practice designation today. Nico's still kind of limited, so um, you know what I'm saying. We'll see how that goes. He just Nico Collins was reported he just got out of concussion protocol today, so he should be fully. That's probably why he has a limited practice designation on him. He should be able to be good to go. So, with that being said, let's get into this game. So, Denver Broncos will be coming into town. Texans are going to be hosting the Denver Broncos, a 6-2 Denver Broncos team, if you will, and they've been coming off some big wins. So last week, um, Broncos they beat the Dallas Cowboys. Let's see if I can pull the score real quick. Oh, just had it. Yes, here we go. So yeah, whatever it was bad. So yeah, they beat the Dallas Cowboys. Just looking, yeah, 44-24. Week before that, it was a 33-32 beating. So last two games, oh yeah, 33-32 beating of the New York Giants. And that Giants game was actually the one where they came back in. So um, this is still, a relatively young team for this Denver Broncos squad, and obviously is led by quarterback Bo Nix, second year guy, first round pick out of the first round pick out of Auburn, um, Sean Payton's guy, if you will. Let me see. Why am I missing? Oh, here we go. That's yeah. So yeah, Bo Nix, first round pick out of Auburn last year. Sean Payton's guy. Sean Payton, we're all familiar with his game from New Orleans, offensive genius, and things like that. They also got a plethora of weapons everywhere. Cortland Sutton, running back R.J. Harvey, Marvin Mims, Evan Ingram, just all the fixings on offense. When it comes to defense, Justice Stack, Nick Benito, Jonathan Cooper, coming from that outside, and it all makes up the Denver Broncos, who are the first place Denver Broncos in this AFC West team, the same AFC West that has been dominated in years past by the Kansas City Chiefs. So now the Texans get the honor of having to face one of the hottest teams, hottest young teams in this league right now, and they're definitely going to have their hands full when you just think about the roster of individuals that I named and just where this team is ranked in certain categories, particularly in third down, third down defense and in red zone defense. When you think about the comebacks that they've had this year, especially against the Giants, so it's going to be a team that that's going to that's that's going to be a handful for the Texans. However, the Texans should be able to really just kind of get a win out of this game. Texans have, you know, they're coming off one win, but they're coming off their third straight game against an opponent that's over 500, way over 500. You know what I'm saying? And that's after they played the Baltimore Ravens and Tennessee Titans and got that 2 wins there. So right now, coming off the bye week and facing the two teams that they did face with those winning records, they're 1-1. So now it's going to be this is going to be like the test, uh, the test for this Texans team. One of the tougher games remaining on their schedule. So here's what if the Texans want to win this game. Here's just quite a few things that they're going to need to do. Number one, they're going to have to limit Bo Nix and his playmaking ability. Um, he's a young dual threat quarterback. He can definitely pass the ball. He definitely has the mobility to escape. In fact, the Broncos, I believe, are dead last in sacks allowed. So he's only been sacked. What they've only allowed 8 sacks this whole season. So um, and when I say dead last, I mean like the least amount. They've given up the least amount of sacks this year, or just 8 sacks. So he's definitely somebody that can escape pressure, escape a pocket that's closing in. That's just part of his game, and so it's going to be very imperative that maybe we have a spy, or maybe we just keep him in containment, and kind of just force him to just keep throwing outside of the pocket and let our defensive backs handle the rest. Because if he gets out there, if he gets out there on the move, he's going to try to find a receiver that can try to bust the play open. So that's something that we do not want to happen. Texans defense does not want that to happen at all. So definitely limit his playmaking ability. Number two, Texans offensive line, and they just have Texans offense has to continue having a clean pocket. That involves the offensive line, that involves the running backs, that involves CJ Stroud to an extent. So like I mentioned in the San Francisco game, Stroud was able to move around in the pocket and get rid of it, get real decisive with it. So I think that's going to call for that again. Um, Definitely our running backs that when it's time to do those blocks in the backfield, they're gonna have to step up and really, excuse me, they're gonna have to step up and really hit that target, and not skip out on any blocks or anything like that. When it comes to just the O line, just regular like blocking. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. Know your assignment. Don't get confused on any stunts or anything like that. Like just really focus and dig deep on where this pressure is coming from. The one thing that the Texans are gonna have to do is beat the blitz. Um, and really not so much the blitz, but just the pressure. This Broncos team, they lead the league in sacks, but they also lead in pressures, QB knockdowns, things of that nature. Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper, two of the sack leaders on this Broncos squad, both playing the edge. You definitely want to make sure you know where they are at all times, and we're getting Christian Kirk back. We're getting Nico Collins back. So we're going to have our playmakers, our main playmakers at wide receiver, but what I'm saying, we also found some new blood in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. So definitely keep getting those guys involved as well. But it's going to be very imperative that we beat that blitz, beat that pass rush, probably some quick routes and things like that. Definitely maybe some check downs we can probably do with the running backs. Last couple weeks, Stroud has been able to find Woody Marks and get him involved in his passing game, especially last week. So let's see if we can keep that going. and just, you know what I'm saying, really just kind of defeat this pass rush. Um, Number three, the third down and red zone offense is going to be key for us. The rank, the third down, yeah, the Broncos are top 10 in both of these categories. Um, I think, I think it was the Seahawks that was kind of the same way or something similar, but um, they're both top 10 in some of these categories. I believe that the Broncos are like the tied for first with red zone defense percentage, and they might be ranked 10th as far as like third down conversion defense. So it's going to be important that the Texans run game steps up and, you know what I'm saying, extends drives, wear the defense down. So by the time we do get into the red zone, it's going to be kind of gassing them up a little bit. So it's definitely going to be important that our run game steps up. It's just been kind of sporadic here and there. You got a rookie and Woody Marks, and you also got Nick Chubb. So probably not a combination that excites you on paper, or really just jumps out at you, but it's definitely something that can be worked with, and it's definitely a tandem that can be effective. So, got to get those guys involved in the run game um, whenever you possibly can, wherever it makes sense at, just to get a rhythm going and, saying, wear down this defense. Um, Fourth and final thing. Oh, last thing about the third down and red zone offense. Last week the Texans had, I believe, four different double digit drives in that last game. So it can be done. You know what I'm saying? Find a way to do it. It can be done. Um, my granted, I granted it was San Francisco and they're not, that great at the pass rush at the moment, but it can still be done, regardless of who you lined up against. You just got to figure it out and find a way. Um, Fourth and final thing, play a complete game. So one of the things that probably has kind of gone quiet is that the Broncos, well, Bo Nix has orchestrated like three fourth quarter comebacks, three game winning drives, things like that, including the fourth quarter against the New York Giants a couple weeks ago. So um, Texans have to play a complete game. Last week they played a really complete game. And that's one of the things I liked about last week's win. It was, the Texans came in on offense. They did that thing early and often and throughout the game. It wasn't no Texans offense came out there, did a little bit of something, took a break seemingly, and didn't wake back up until like the fourth quarter. So definitely it's going to be definitely I'm looking for this team to really just kind of take over. I'm really looking for this team to just kind of repeat that same success and just find a way to play a complete game and put this game away the first chance that they get. So, just to review these things, um, Texans, they need to limit Bo Nix and his playmaking ability, prevent him from getting mobile and finding receivers downfield for big plays. Continue with having a clean pocket against this Broncos team that leads the league in sacks, but also find ways to beat their blitz and their pass rush with quick routes from any of our receivers, whether it's Christian Kirk, um, Nico Collins or Jaden Higgins or Jalen Noel, or hell, even Xavier Hutchinson, who had a solid game last week. Find a way to beat that pass rush with some quicker routes. Third down, red zone offense got to be key. The key to that is just, having a running game step up, just so they can extend drives, wear down this defense. So by the time the defense gets into the red zone, they're going to be a little gassed. And just play a complete game. Um, they Broncos they have like three game winning drives, so um, definitely want to play a complete game. Make sure that they're not in a position to even come back should we take the lead on these guys. Once we take the lead, just keep being aggressive, keep building on that lead, but be smart. You know what I'm saying? Don't make a mistake to turn the ball over. Just be smart about how you play, and everything should be good to go. So That's all I got for y'all this week. Um, if you're watching this on Facebook, facebook.com/BrandonBlog, like my page, share this video with your people, your news feed or whatever. Um, yeah, like this page, like the video, share the video, comment if you will. If you're watching this on YouTube, like the video, share the video with whoever that you choose to, and leave comments as well. So, that's all I got for y'all this week. I'm Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. Holla black.